Hello, so I'm back with a bit of a tell me anything reading. There's a message trying to come through, trigger warning for spiders, by the way. Probably I'm going to try and remember to put that in the title. There's a message trying to come through. I think I'm starting to get to grips with it now. It's been trying to come through maybe for a couple of weeks, and it's starting to make a little bit more sense. So it could be something to do with like literally seeing more clearly, something to do with eyes, or it could be metaphorically, like seeing the bigger picture, seeing something with more detail, more depth. Excuse me, so sorry. So you can see here I've got two sets of the same cards. Now, when I first started getting cards, I unknowingly bought a fake version of Kim Kranz's Animal Spirit Wild Unknown Oracle deck. You can see it's smaller, it's not as good quality. So I've finally gone and bought the proper version. It is a bit more of an expensive pack, but I use it a lot. I really like this. Something with my words as well. My words are kind of getting, like my mouth is too full, is the way I could describe it. It's weird. So I like this deck and I wanted to buy the official version. I didn't really want to buy knockoff versions in the first place. So finally I've bought it because this message has been trying to come through, and I really felt like I needed both decks because I've got her tarot deck here and this is the animal deck. So I really felt like there's messages trying to come through, but I need both decks. You can see as well, it's something to do with the art style. So the art style, there's a lot of these cards that are black and white, and then you have these cards with like intense pops of colour. So there's something to do with like seeing things in black and white or seeing things with colour, which could be a metaphor for, you know, people who think in black and white, like they're the good guys, they're the bad guys, kind of like a juvenile sense of perspective on quite a complicated world that we live in. You know, things aren't black and white. There are a lot of grey areas. There's a lot of I've forgotten the word that I wanted to use now. There's a lot of interplay. Things are never very clear, especially if you're talking about political situations. There's a lot of complexities there, a lot of subtleties that are quite difficult to really have the time to negotiate with your mind. So this is why, if you think about the way things are taught, like history lessons are taught in infant school or junior school, and the way that they're taught in university, when you get into higher education, you're much more likely to be able to see the complexities of the situation. Things are more colourful, things are more vibrant, things are more complex. So it could be something to do with the way somebody thinks or the way somebody understands something. They saw a situation in black and white, they now see the complexities and the subtleties and the vibrancy of the interplay between the two sides of something. And I'll come back to that, I think, if I try and remember that. There's quite a few messages coming in here, so I'm trying to explain it to you in a less complex way than how it's being held in my mind at the moment. So you can see, yeah, the difference between, because of the artwork, the black and white and the pops of colour. So there's definitely something to do with eyes. I was really drawn to pull this eye when I first tried to do this reading. You can see here, if I go back to the difference between the decks, the colour pops more, and this is why I bought it. There's something to do with how much more the colour pops, so it can be difficult to see in different lights, but again, it's quite subtle. But this one I feel is much more vibrant than this one. If I hold them side by side, you know, this one's more vibrant. Again, with this unicorn card as well, it's like the moon behind has more colour to it. Yeah, it's less subtle with this dragon card, but there's definitely, like, the colours are a little bit more intense on the official deck, or at least the way that I'm seeing it, they look more intense. So, you know, richer, the colours are richer on the official deck. So somebody could perhaps be enjoying their life more, finding more vibrancy in their own life, in their own experience. When I first had my spiritual awakening, darlings, I would go outside and I'd look up at the sky and I'd think, it's like I'm living in a fairy tale. I'd look at the sky and think, has the sky always looked like this? It was like the richness of the colours. It just looked like the sky was a fairy tale sky. So often the sunsets were more brilliant. I was seeing rainbows. I was seeing like pinks and purples in the clouds. It was unreal. So it could be, because I've been getting this message about colour blindness, it could be something to do with somebody is colourblind. They have that disability, but they're getting the glasses that correct the colour and seeing the richness of the colours for the first time. You know, there's more colours available, something like that. It could be that somebody has, because I'm getting that quote, I was blind but now I can see, or something like that. And I think it's a Bible reference, and I think it's the way it's coming through. What is coming through with it to me, wherever this quote comes from, is somebody who had vision, they could see, and then they went blind, and it's like their intuition started working, or they understood something better after they went blind, because when that sight was removed, it's like it awoke a different kind of knowledge within them. All these owls keep coming through with knowledge and sight, seeing in the dark, right? Being blind but being able to see. So could definitely be something to do physically with somebody's eyes or their intuition. Again, this dragon eye is here. These cards came out together, and it took me a while to understand what was being said here. So we've got the Ten of Cups, which talks about happiness shared with other people, the connections that are made with other people, where there's give and take with happiness. So you could talk about happy families or a great day out with friends. It's people where you see how the connections are being made on this card. It's like these threads being made between these two different, and you can talk about this being like two different sides. So if it is talking about perhaps, because the Five of Swords is a card about conflict, literal conflict, differences of opinion, and you can see that the differences of opinion literally split people in two. Somebody could have been pulled between two sides, but it's like if there was two sides of a situation, maybe somebody's trying to make those connections back again, to pull the two sides back together rather than having two separate groups. Because if you split this Ten of Cups in half, you get two Five of Cups, and everybody's disappointed in that. Everybody feels like rejected, disappointed, you know, adrift. So you have to make the connections to bring people back together. So it could be talking about, with this black and white thinking, it's like sometimes, especially on social media, there's a polarization where it's like you can't have a nuanced discussion about something, especially like political things or things that are kind of they hold those high emotions around them. So you could, I don't want to say anything specific, but there's events in history that you could look at and say, well, they're clearly the bad guys. Yes, like with hindsight, yeah, clearly that was the bad side. But why did people join in with that in the first place? What were they, you know, how did, it's just, situations are difficult, and it's, yes, like there are clear good things and bad things, but a lot of the time, a lot of people are in that kind of grey in between area where they're torn in different directions. They have certain needs that they need to be fulfilled. Things are complicated, and the more you look into things, the more complicated they get. So there's never a clear this and that, basically. So it's like someone now has the ability to see the complexity of situations. It's something like that, where it could be talking about, sometimes you can say something like, on social media, you can look at different groups where you have maybe liberal people and maybe conservative people. I'm Libra, so I'm almost always sat on the fence trying to get the two to have a normal conversation, you know, an open discussion, that kind of peacemaker energy. And that's what the world needs more of, rather than people who push and divide, which is, I think, what we've had a lot of over the past few years, where you can't have that nuanced discussion, because the second you say something that doesn't agree with either side, they paint you in a certain box, they push you into that other corner. And it's like, well, no, I don't associate with them, but perhaps it's like you find yourself in the middle ground, which is actually, maybe more people need to be in the middle ground, rather than, it's like almost like peer pressure to have an opinion, or to have a fixed opinion, where situations don't call for fixed opinions. Situations call for people who can see the nuance and have a diplomatic discussion on that middle ground. I hope I'm coming across correctly. I hope you understand what I'm saying. So yeah, the half of the 10 of cups, if you have this division, then nobody's happy. You have to make the connections. You have to bring people back together. Now, there could also be something going on with these cards where there's some kind of cord being cut. I am seeing almost this is like an umbilical cord. So somebody could have had a baby, because this kind of is looking to me a little bit like a birth canal. And also, I don't want to go into women's genitalia too much, but, you know, it's also looking to me like a membrane. So there could be something about you know, when the baby's in the sac, the membrane's broken, you cut the cord, somebody could have had a baby. It could also be something about baby's eyes as well. Baby's eyes change colour as they age up, and when they're first born, they can't see very well. They can only see quite close, and then their sight develops and they're able to see further. So it's something about developing sight as well. Now, again, it could be literal sight, like somebody's eyes, or, you know, the third eye of psychic intuition. The owl I do associate with the high priestess, so it could definitely be something to do with third eye opening, crown chakra opening, intuition. But I had this dream about a spider that was trying to create a web. And so we're moving into this kind of spider territory here. Do you see how I'm saying it's a membrane? Again, somebody could be having eye surgery. The sword could be, you know, like laser eye surgery or something, that, you know, affecting the membrane of the eye to correct the vision so that they can see more clearly. It may be literal, like literally eye surgery. But it could... There's something to do as well with, like, you see here with this spider web. So it's almost like it was something that was seen as a blockage. Somebody can now cut through, or somebody's having a different perspective on the blockage. It's like, well, I thought it was a blockage. I thought it was a dead end, but now I actually see it more clearly. And I see that it's almost like coming to light, like, oh, it wasn't a dead end. It was something that somebody was working on. I can now see the vibrancy of the colours. And you understand this character more closely, whoever it is who's creating the web. Now, as I say, I had a dream about a spider that was working really hard, which is the meaning of the Eight of Pentacles card, working really hard on creating a web. Now, spiders create a web every single day, and they do it over and over again. Every single morning, I believe, they create their web, and then they take it down and then they put it up again. If you see a web that hasn't been taken down, it's probably because the spider died or got lost, you know, and couldn't make it back to the web. So usually the web goes up every day and comes back down. So I also saw a sweeping brush, and it was like there was another person who kept on seeing this spider web and sweeping it away. Now, it was kind of like a futile effort, because that spider was going to keep on making the web. So it was almost like you had to let the spider complete the web in order to see the bigger picture as the way it was coming through. I think it came through in a Libra reading. It doesn't necessarily have to be Libra. It's just that was the night that I had the dream. So there's something to this spider web. Now, it could talk about neurons, the brain, the connectivity, the connections in your own brain, coming back to life, being more vibrant, being able to think more clearly. It may be, again, something to do with connections with other people. There's a card in this Divine Animals Oracle by Stacey DeMarco, which has a tarantula on it. And it talks about the internet, the World Wide Web, and connectivity between people, which is how I'm reading it here, with this kind of like cat's cradle, right? And now they're giving me cats in the cradle with the silver spoon, little boy blue and the man on the moon. So that could be for somebody. So somebody's working hard on something, on making connections, on bringing people together, on seeing the bigger picture. There was something else to that. What was it? I feel there is something coming through where it feels like a bit of a trap. Now, I have this mouse card coming out, also kind of like this unicorn card, and this owl card. There's this kind of like... There's these animals that come out at night. Now, this morning, and I feel like it's relevant, I listened to about 4 or 5 songs, and one of them, randomised on Spotify, it was After Dark by Tito and Tarantula. It's that one that Salma Hayek dances to, Until Dusk Till Dawn. Again, there's this kind of nighttime, daytime thing, only after dark. So the mice come out to play. When the cat's away, the mice come out to play. So they just gave me that. So something about the dark, something about when things are unseen. But you can see all these specks of colour that are behind them. Again, it's like intuition, or I don't know if this tarantula's laying some sort of trap. Because the owl is obviously like a bird of prey. And I don't know if there's something with the film Birds of Prey, you know, with Harley Quinn. Because the hawk and the eagle were coming out as well. So birds of prey. Because the mouse is like the prey, right? So the mouse is the prey, would be caught by the claws of the birds of prey. And the owls also, because they're carrying the sword, right? The owls can cut through the web. I'm not quite understanding it. So take what you get from it and leave anything that doesn't come out. It's like, this is as far as I've got with it. And then it's like my intuition's blocked. So I don't know if it's something to do with somebody's intuition being blocked. And having to push through some sort of veil. You know, you could be talking about the veil between life and the afterlife, or the 3D and the 5D. Like pushing through, almost like breaking through a glass ceiling, like pushing their intuition through, pushing their intuition forwards, going through the web. As I say, there's something after dark. Now that song, it does, as I was kind of saying, like the spiders, they make the web in the morning. The image that I saw, it had like Mountain Dew. I don't know, maybe somebody's drinking Mountain Dew. But it had like a morning dew on the spider web. It was like a crystal. It was very, very beautiful. So again, like seeing something from a different perspective, understanding something, understanding the nature of the spider, and not seeing it as something to be feared, but something that's very beautiful, something that is creative, something that's very skilled. So a different perspective on a certain person, perhaps. After dark, sorry, I'm getting distracted. So it actually says, there's a line in that song that says in your eyes, or in her eyes, something about, again, about eyes. Only after dark. Now it says something about in her room as well. Last night I woke up, I'd been asleep for about an hour, and I woke up, and I used to have this all the time, and it hasn't happened for a long time, and I saw one again. I sometimes when I wake up, because sometimes I see like spiders, but they're kind of like shadows. They're not real spiders. You know, I'll see them and I'll look for them and they're not there. When I open my eyes, I see them very, very clearly. Now you could talk about, what is it when you dream and you wake up and you're still dreaming, but your eyes are open? It could just be that kind of thing. Like, I can't think what it's called. Sleep paralysis, when you wake up and you're still dreaming but you can't move. But it's like, it's spiders in my room. I know I sound like I'm going crazy, right? I know I feel like I'm going crazy sometimes with these kind of readings, but there's definitely some kind of message trying to come through. But it only happens after dark, right? I've been waking up at 3:30 again as well. So there's something going on. It could be something going on with my intuition. Maybe it's happening for a lot of people. Maybe this is some kind of collective reading. Oh, here as well, like the Four of Wands. I mean, this would be in your room card. It talks about your house sometimes, but it almost looks like an eye again. Maybe it's talking about if somebody's intuition is opening up. Maybe it's talking about being able to see, you know, being able to astrally project, being able to see other people, like having the vision, having the sight, seeing things more clearly, improving your skills, your intuitive skills, having that kind of high priestess type knowing. I don't know. Maybe I want to get one card to kind of wrap up this reading from. I feel like I'm sponsored by Kim Kranz today, but I'm honestly not. I just really like her decks, and the kind of the imagery, the black and white and rainbow imagery is really talking to me at the moment. So let's pull a Wild Unknown Archetypes card. So this is all 3 of her decks. As far as I'm aware, she's only got 3 decks. So they're all here today in this reading. If you wanted to go and get them, Kim Kranz. Can you help me understand the message that's trying to come through better, please? What is trying to be communicated by the cards today, please? The Pilgrim, yeah, the Pilgrim and the Healer. So this Pilgrim energy has been coming through. There is an eye on this card as well, do you see? The Pilgrim. I have been getting this Pilgrim energy. I've done about 4 or 5 readings off camera that I haven't uploaded, just because it is giving me this slightly crazy feeling, and I don't want to come across that I'm crazy and losing the plot. The energy is very, very strong right now. They're strongly trying to communicate with me. One of the main motifs that's been coming through is this tree being hit by lightning. So I don't know if that has any relevance to anybody. The tree being hit by lightning. Something about a flash of light, like a flash of light blinding you, and then you see. The wanderer, the traveller, the apprentice. For the Pilgrim, an outward journey. This has been coming through like hermit energy, somebody who has something to do, somebody who has to go on like a soul mission is the way it's been coming through in my readings. For the Pilgrim, an outward journey is always an inward journey. This archetypal wanderer seeks wisdom, experience and meaning in the farthest reaches of the globe and in the deepest regions of the spirit. Others will wonder when the Pilgrim will settle down and claim a more conventional life, but the Pilgrim knows that the heart belongs in motion. Where there is motion, there is freedom, expansion and growth. Responsibilities, social conventions and logistics lull us to sleep, and soon the Pilgrim becomes veiled. There's the veil, right? The veil, the membrane, veiled in the slumber of day to day. Yet, when this archetype awakens, it rallies our sense of adventure and leads us out of the door towards a new reality. A new reality, that's interesting. Because this person's seeing things in colour. It's like they're seeing life in colour. And it's talking about things being dull, right? Responsibilities making things dull. With the Pilgrim at your side, you will never lack courage, nor do you need every amenity. Travel light, travel soon, your spirit needs it. When light learns, grows, adapts and studies, as I was saying about higher education, the more you learn, the more you understand that life is very complex. So there's you find some governments, some political parties do things like they discourage education, they take away funding for education, because the less educated you are, the more easy you are to manipulate, the more easy you are to control. So always be wary of political parties that now they all say they fund education, but actually look at what they do. Don't look at the policy, look at what they do. You know, actions speak louder than policies, right, when it comes to politics. And some really quite terrible political establishments, they like to keep people working very hard. They like to keep people hungry and uncomfortable, because if you want to Google Maslow's hierarchy of needs, the basic needs need to be dealt with first. So things like hunger and having somewhere comfortable to sleep, feeling safe. If your basic needs are not met, all your mental energy is going to go into getting those needs met. So if you're stressed, if you're overworked, if you're tired all the time, if you're always hungry, if you're always uncomfortable because you've got long commutes, you're not going to have the mental energy in order to think about the complexities of life, you're going to be like, what's for tea? You know, what time do I have to get up? Rather than thinking on a more philosophical level where, you know, if you're comfortable, if you are not as busy, you can think outside the box a lot more, you can hold more information in your head. So this is just a fact. Again, Google Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So you're going to be able, when you're well rested and you have your basic needs met, you're going to have more mental capacity to not see things in black and white anymore, but be able to see how complex life actually is. So do be wary of political parties that like to keep people busy and stupid, because those people are easier to control and they're more likely to vote for the political parties that keep you busy and stupid. So just food for thought there. You know, I'm not telling you what to do. You vote for whoever you want to vote for. Just make sure you don't just go off the policies and the headlines. Make sure you look at the history of what this party has actually funded or taken funding away from. You know, are they encouraging people to lead busy lives, or lives where they are making space to have freedom of thought? Just, you know, just something to think about. When dark, aloof, non-committal and flaky. Go deeper, The Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. Mamine by David White. We all have a deep longing to answer the call, to get unstuck. What are the obstacles between you and the door? Even in the stillness of meditation, the pilgrim feels the movement of the heart towards what it loves. Okay, so where is your heart pulling you? At the end of the day, I think we all have quite a relatively short existence here on earth in you know, a single lifetime, and do we want to spend it with our nose to the grindstone? You know, do we want to spend it stressed and uncomfortable and, you know, going for shiny things, shiny expensive things that don't really bring us happiness? Or do we want to look at the reality we live in and look for how we can make ourselves happy and comfortable where we are? And also, like, how do we get to those places where we have the time to think, to have the time to have that higher perspective? So meditation could definitely be helpful to people, especially if you are stressed. It's like those synapses in your brain, those connections are trying to be made, and you can only make those if you really give them time and space to be made. I don't know if I've delivered the message that they wanted me to deliver. Please do take whatever resonates for you from that reading and leave anything that doesn't. There's a lot of 10s in this reading, so I'm just seeing the 10, 10, 10, 10. 40, somebody could be 40. What's this? Yeah. 8, 5 and 8. Sorry, 5 and 3 makes 8. You've got 2 8s. I don't know. I'll leave you to it. I'll leave it there. I'm doing my best to understand the messages and to communicate them, and I may get them wrong, so like I say, do trust your own intuition on these things. Do you know, just to close out the reading, let's grab a few random words. Any random words that want to come through, please, to help us understand this reading? Any random words, please, that want to help us understand this reading? We have what? 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 Delight. What delight? Anne. Anything else, please? So I'm not looking, just so you know, I'm not looking when I'm pulling these words out. It's what delight, what delight, Anne? Cool. Wet. Okay. What delight and cool, wet. AN could be somebody's initials. Somebody could be called Anne. What's this? AM, AN, Anne, take that if it resonates, leave it if it doesn't. I've got another one, beautiful. Well, it looks good, right? Delight, wet, cool, beautiful. Sounds good. Is it a very, very beautiful ice cream that you're about to eat? I don't know. Do take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.